Hello and welcome to another monthly release of Tabular Editor 3. We have a bunch of exciting features in this release that we're looking forward to sharing with you. First up, we've now released the DAX Lib Package Manager, letting you add and remove DAX function libraries with the click of a button. Here's how you set it up. At daxlib.org, you can browse packages of DAX functions, which are useful calculations to reuse DAX in a semantic model. You can add a function to your model by clicking Add to Power BI and copy the Tyndall script into Power BI Desktop. But for large function libraries, this can be pretty unwieldy and difficult to manage, especially when you want to centralize across semantic models. To make this easier, we've created the DAX Package Manager in Tabular Editor. Click View, DAX Package Manager, and you now have a direct connection to DAX Lib. You can click to install any of the libraries and get details for these libraries on the right-hand side. You can choose to install different versions if you wish, and just clicking install will add all of those functions to your semantic model. You can now see that semantic model functions are also organized according to their namespace, which is a lot easier to find and use. You can inspect the function expressions, make changes if you wish, and if you want to remove these functions, just go and click Remove. Now, it's very useful to keep in mind that you can add or remove different function libraries, but you can also keep an eye out for updates to existing libraries in your semantic model. The DAX Lib Package Manager is really fast and easy to use. It's a great way to centrally manage your functions. On top of that, namespace organization is also a nice new feature to keep your functions organized in the TOM Explorer. Now, related to functions, we also now support visual calculations because they can be used in functions as well. Here's an example. This is an example of a DAX function with a visual calculation. If the field is equal to the last field in the rows, then return the field, otherwise return blank. This can be useful for labeling the latest data point in a line chart, for example. We can create a new custom visual calculation and then use our function with the actuals month to date to only return the last value, which you can see here. We can then use this in the formatting pane to only label and mark that last value, which can be really helpful. Visual calculations have quite a lot of interesting use cases, especially when you have specific requirements in your report visuals, where they can even be better than model measures for a number of different reasons. After that, we've also made some improvements to working with local models, including refresh of Power BI desktop tables and opening different formats. Let's take a look. When you connect to a local model open in Power BI Desktop, you can now shift select multiple tables or a single table, and then right-click, select refresh, and refresh those tables. When you go to the refresh menu, you can track the progress of this refresh in the rows that are being refreshed and the duration. You can also cancel the refresh if you want. You can continue working. You can see in Power BI Desktop, we refresh the budget table, but not the forecast. The best part of refreshing a Power BI Desktop model or table from Tabular Editor 3 is that you can monitor or manage the refresh without interrupting your work in Tabular Editor or in Power BI. Finally, we've made some improvements to the pivot grid. Here's how you create a pivot grid and what those improvements are. At the top of the screen, you can create a new pivot grid, and here you can add measures and columns to be able to query them as you build your model. We'll add the measure, number of customers, and then from the customers table, add the column transaction type. The pivot grid works very similar to a pivot table in Excel. You just drag and drop fields, either from this field list or the TOM Explorer, and then you can set up things like sorting, and even conditional formatting with data bars. You can further customize and tune the pivot grid, and it will update as you're working on your model, and you can also save it and then open it later to work in it in different sessions. Keep in mind that whenever you're going to customize your pivot grid, these changes will be saved, and we've also added the ability to disable this fields list so that you're just focused on the actual data values while you're working. These are just some of the highlights. Feel free to check our changelog for the full list on tabulareditor.com. Until then, we'll see you soon for our next release. Take care.